Welcome to episode 124 of the Reptile Gumbo past podcast.
What's wrong with you?
Had a small stroke there.
Oh
for a
my
second.
gosh.
Do I make you nervous?
I'm good now. No, I'm good. So it's still a one-on-one episode, but one of our one has changed from Robert, who may or may not be here later. He had something come up, to our special guest, which is my dad, who normally, if you follow the chat, he's normally in the chat, but they're visiting. They're in town, so we had them on tonight. Or at least had him on.
Your mom's going to watch Encanto for the first time downstairs with Joe.
As long as someone's keeping the kid busy. Before we get there, let's go ahead and go over our sponsors. Katie is
not ready,
so I'll go over the first one. We'll go over Herps real quick. So Herps, the next Herps show is coming up. It is next weekend in Slidell, Louisiana, July 23rd and 24th.
It is this weekend.
It is this weekend, which is the next weekend.
No, sir.
It's technically the next one to get
But when
here.
you say the next weekend, you think like 2 weekends away from you.
Yeah, for some reason I thought today was a weekend day.
Yeah.
Anyways, it is July 23rd and 24th in Slidell. That'll be a big show. Then Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, the following week, July 30th and 31st. And then Corpus Christi, Texas, which is August 13th and 14th, which we're going to that one.
Yes. Followed by Bryan College Station the next weekend.
I'm not there yet.
But we're going to that one too.
Oh, I got to tell Lori because she texted me. I got to tell that we're coming.
Yeah, it's like the huge
that's a big open
Herps party at her shop.
So I may record that one too.
You're not telling her we're not going to that.
Nope, we're going to that one too. Corpus, we will be recording. I'm bringing all my recording stuff, and we will be interviewing a whole bunch of people there. If you're there and you're listening to the podcast, stop by, say hi. Corpus, our Bryan College Station, which is August 20th, 21st, which is Sam's birthday weekend.
Hey,
Yeah.
August 21st.
I'll be 30 years old.
They'll be old as dirt.
The weekend after that is
But we may
Austin.
record Bryan College Station also because I don't have any snakes to sell.
no.
Austin, Texas, which is August 27th, 28th.
Joe and I have plans that day. You can go if you want.
I wouldn't plan on going to that one, but okay. Conroe, Texas, September 10th and 11th. You will be at that one because you missed the last one.
I'm a little afraid, but yes.
New Orleans will be September 17th and 18th. And then Waco, Texas is October 15th and 16th. That's taking the place of the, why can't I think of the show that it's taking the place of?
Is that Temple?
Yes, it's
Okay.
taking the place of Temple. So that is the Waco show. So that is your future Herp shows. Come out and see us again. We'll be at Corpus recording, and we'll be at Bryan College recording. Also, if you're in Bryan College, go by the Tipsy Trinket.
Or the Herps Pet Shop.
Well, the Herp Pet Shop will be closed that weekend, but the Tipsy
That's true, but they
Tipsy
are
Trinket
open.
will be open that weekend.
They are open other times.
That is true. Also, are you ready, Katie?
I am.
Okay, our other one says our co-host sitting here. You got to
That's
represent them.
right. If you are looking for a high quality PVC rack, look no further than Lone Star Reptile Racks. They offer a variety of sizes for all types of snakes, geckos, rats, and more. You can even order something custom. Shipping is available, or you can plan to pick up at a Herps Reptile show near you. I'm pretty sure he's going to everyone on the list except Oklahoma. You can visit lsreptileracks.com to reach out to Lone Star Reptile Racks and place your order today.
Yes, Victor. We had Jay Brewer on our podcast. Fuck that. I wouldn't have. Never mind. I'm gonna be nice. No,
That's right.
no.
Be nice.
Yeah, if you need a rack, it's lsreptileracks.com. Get your rack order in. You can pick it up at a show or cages. He also does cages or custom work. If there's a custom sized rack or cage you want, contact Robert over at lsreptileracks.com. He'll get that built for you. Also, our friends over at Wiregrass Exotics. Don't turn.
Sorry, I was sharing that we were live.
Anyways, our friends over at Wiregrass Exotics over in Ozark, Alabama. If you are in North Florida, West Georgia, East Alabama, go over, get feeders, reptiles over at Wiregrass Exotics in Ozark because there's a Walmart and Wiregrass Exotics in Ozark. That's about it as you drive through there. And then once you've got that, just go ahead and continue on to Troy and you can go to the best college on earth.
Hooray.
Hooray. Also, I always want to give a shout out to our friends over at Focus Cube for this amazing sign that's behind my head. Every time I walk up there, I think it's awesome.
I'm just surprised somebody made it for you.
I was impressed.
Like they thought enough about you to make you a gift.
That was the most
How
surprise.
sweet.
The most surprise I ever walking in and seeing that's what they made me. Because all I got was a picture of a corner with a screw in it. And I'm like,
I had no idea what was coming.
What the hell did they build me? I don't need a cage. I mean, I would have taken a cage, but they didn't build me a cage. They built this. But if you want to see an awesome cage, go to the Herp shop. Because their front
Aki is in
front counter where you check out is also a giant Focus Cube cage for a pair of Ackies in there. That's a great cage. In our giveaway, we gave away last month. I still got to get a hold. Robert was contacting him, but I'll get a hold of Paul. But we are giving away again this month, thanks to Sean over at Herps. We're giving away another US ARC membership this month. So all you have to do again is go over to our Facebook page and comment your favorite guest that we've had on in 124 episodes. I mean, you don't have to put my dad. That's fine. They can put anybody else but my dad. But 124 episodes.
He might be their favorite guest after tonight.
Then
I'll be James's favorite.
Then we have failed in 123 other episodes. But go over. All you got to do is put your favorite guest in the last, was it 2.5 years I've been doing this, and you're entered in for a free US ARC membership. Again, we will extend your membership or give it as a gift or whatever.
Been doing this for 2.5 years.
Too long.
Damn.
And then don't forget, if you need a UVB bulb for your lizards, snakes, whatever it is, don't forget Vivtex UVB LED light bulbs. You can get 15% off if you use code Gumbo22. That's Gumbo22. And you get 15% off on your purchase for bulb, or if you want to get one of their UV meters or anything else they're selling. I strongly recommend, once you buy their bulbs, though, you won't have to buy a bulb for like 4 years. So enjoy that.
Yep.
I cover everything. I think I covered everything.
You got a lot going on, man.
I know. It was a bunch
I've
of
been
stuff.
off for a few weeks, so my brain's just like, what
missed
is
Victor.
happening
Victor was
in
our
this
guest.
world? I know. I was a little sad about that one.
We had Victor on. He sat in his stereotypical Florida pool with the screen around it
Yep.
that you see when you fly into any airport in Florida. It's 100 of them as you fly over all the
You
neighborhoods.
don't want the mosquitoes to get you.
That is true. I don't.
Then you'll be flying over too
Yeah,
as they carry you off.
with their state birds. And then look, see, Anal Side Exotics is here.
Oh my God.
What?
No,
That's what it says.
that is not what their name is.
How do you know? They said hello. I'm saying hi to them.
Oh
See,
my
Anal Side
gosh.
Exotics.
Oh my gosh.
I don't understand.
I wear flip flops everywhere, Victor. It's okay.
I don't ever.
I even hiked
I wear
part of
real
the
shoes.
Appalachian Trail in flip flops one time
It doesn't make you smart.
when we went and saw the wild ponies. That was a good trip.
That was a good trip.
Was that the trip with the Bears?
That was not the trip with
No.
the Bears. That was
Oh,
the best trip.
That was the
That
best.
one was the best. Yes.
That was through
Shenandoah National
Shenandoah.
Forest. Skyline Drive.
Yes.
Skyline Drive. Yeah, that was
That
a
was
great trip.
fun.
We saw multiple black bears. We rescued a
You
baby
rescued
deer.
a baby deer.
Me and this little kid. We shoved a little kid down in a drain, and he handed me a baby
His
deer.
dad
And I
let
tried to
you-
leave and they wouldn't let me.
His dad let you lower him into the storm drain, which still amazes me.
It is true. This stranger let me lower his kid into a storm drain. Then we saved a baby deer. We saw a turkey on that trip.
Yep.
That was a good trip. I mean, you can only drive like 25 miles an hour for 70 miles, but
It's okay.
I think that's when Katie decided that it was worth trusting me when I said trust
I
me.
did. I will never forget that. He was like, all right, I'm throwing off your schedule.
it added
here."
like 3 hours or 4 hours to
it
our
did.
day.
Oh, it did. But it was okay. It was worth it.
Yeah, that was where we got next to a bear, next to a tree, and all of a sudden a cub popped up on the other
Two
side
of
it.
them.
Yeah.
There were two babies.
Yep.
People were hanging out of their cars to take pictures.
The things a papa will do for his granddaughter.
One time
That's
there was a
true.
guy that got on a roof. That was pretty crazy.
What?
There was a guy that got on the roof.
We did get out at one point. There was a bear that was a ways off.
Because I had to get to my camera in the back of the truck.
But like Max Hicks, I did not get eaten by a bear, and I'm still let down.
No.
Max Hicks did not get eaten by a bear.
You're such an asshole.
The story would have been better
No,
for Max.
James.
There's still time. Well, he went whale watching and didn't get eaten by a whale.
Yep.
So
If you ask me, he's successful.
I disagree. Let's next time let's go try swimming with sharks. No cage.
Oh my gosh.
Wearing a chum vest.
Y'all are crazy.
Be a good camera.
Eat your milkshake.
Right. It has good milkshakes. Chocolate milkshake from the whitest place on earth, Chick-fil-A.
The Lord's chicken. Don't talk about it. Blasphemous.
The Lord. He rested on Sunday. They don't have to rest on Sunday. Everybody wants Chick-fil-A on Sunday.
Yep.
I thought it was the dumbest thing when I saw the Atlanta Falcons open to Chick-fil-A.
So
In the
typically, so our daughter and I, we just got back from camp. We were gone for 24 days. I think James was living up his best bachelor life until his dad got here.
Yeah, I
and he
only had to get
put
dressed to do the
clothes
podcast.
on.
And you're welcome, people watching online.
Normally, we check out on Saturday or on a Friday. So when we leave, we'll get Chick-fil-A. This year, we ended up checking out on a Sunday and Chick-fil-A was closed. And she was so bummed. She's like, there's no Chick-fil-A for the drive home.
Oh, darn.
We had
You could have stopped at Raising Cane's. I say Raising Cane's is so much better. That's the coon ass chicken.
We had to get a little further into Mississippi before we could hit a Raising Cane's, though,
Well,
because they have Zaxby's in Alabama.
So I say coon ass chicken. For those of you not from the South and hear that, that is not a racial slur. That is, if you're talking about rednecks in Louisiana.
Yep.
I said that once to someone. They looked at me weird, and I was like, "You're definitely not from the South." Then
No.
that's
Only redneck south of I-10 in Louisiana.
that is true.
Right.
The ones that make gumbo and can cook crawfish correctly
Yeah.
and boudin.
And you can't understand a word they say.
Nope.
Don't ask them what's in the boudin.
Nope.
It's kind of like a hot dog. You don't want to know
So
what's in there,
gross.
but it tastes good.
What?
What?
I don't like it.
Anyways, so our question this week, because we were having my dad on, was how did your parents react when you told them you wanted to own reptiles? And we had a lot of good answers. Some of them were people that were, this was a kid as they wanted reptiles and the response they got from their parents. Some of them were responses from parents after they'd already moved out. So we'll go through those and then we'll go through mine, talk to my dad. It's his fault. You can blame him for all the reptiles. But
Guilty.
let's go through some of these, and then we'll go through some of the fun stories of people that find out we have reptiles. The best was when we had a kid, and people. Anyways, we'll get to those. Holly Christine said, "My mom was not happy when she found out that I got into snakes. I have 2 leopard geckos. She doesn't mind them, but really doesn't like snakes. My mom at first told me don't ever bring a pet snake in the house. Well, now she lets me. She now lets me have my snakes, but yeah, she still doesn't like them. Well, at least she lets them have them. There's a lot of folks in this hobby. We talked about it before. I think we talked about it last week with Victor. There's a lot of folks in this hobby whose parents just they were not on board and they had to wait until they grew up and got out of the house. Victor, the next one, he said, my dad thought snakes were evil. And we talked about this last week. He said they thought snakes were evil and didn't want any in his house. And my mom, on the other hand, thought they were cool and let me own them. So one parent knew about them and the other one did not.
Well, I mean, I thought they were evil, and that's kind of why I wanted them.
That is true. They are cool. Ozzy told me so.
That's right.
Emily Aminette said, as long as it isn't a snake, and 2 months after I got my first reptile, a leopard gecko, I snuck a snake into the house, and here I am now with more than I need. Well, I mean, if you're able to sneak it in and keep it, that's good. Ilana's happy you're back.
I know.
Forget her. She's on here too. This one's good. All right, so this is Ashley Howdy from Focus Cube. Her story is bad and good all at the same time. She said, when I was 6, they made me wait a year, read books, save up if I still wanted a reptile. And then on my birthday, they got me 2 iguanas.
Oh, no.
Then on my next birthday, my dad caught a loose adult iguana in a Houston park and brought it home in his police car.
What? I need to meet her dad and hear that story. I bet that's a fun one.
Yeah, those are 3 horrible lizards to own. Iguana. I mean,
rough.
but I say that, and Ashley Howdy has a croc monitor and a big black dragon, and
She probably did it right too with the iguanas.
she probably also didn't care if they tried to kill her. So I don't know who Facebook user is. I hate when it does
I
that.
can probably find out. Turn the volume.
Our buddy Jason Brumley said, my mother was okay with anything as long as it wasn't a snake. She was very tolerant of everything else. I had several species of lizards and some turtles growing up, but I didn't start keeping snakes until I had my own place. And now he has green tree pythons and golden pythons and all sorts of snakes. Our friggin' friend Megan, our friend Megan said it wasn't so much their reaction. I mean, keeping reptiles, but the fact that I kept bringing home another and another and another and another, and she's still doing it. But she was on her own at that point. It wasn't at home. Can John Grant not figure out how to get into the... Oh, it was him. Okay, it was him.
Oh,
he said my parents told me no for quite a while. Once they agreed, I had 5 snakes in under a year.
No, there's no way that was John Grant. His parents had a pet store.
That's not John Grant. John, we can see JTBC yours. You're good.
Access thingy.
See, Anal Side said my mom thinks snakes are the devil. She won't come into my snake room as them in my house.
She has them in her house now.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or he.
They. See Anal Side. What? It's what it says.
It is not.
What does it say?
It says Canal Side Exotics.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
Jason Brumley. I guess it's Brumley.
Oh, that's Jason. Oh, okay.
It's only Jason.
It's the only Jason I know. That's not
Miller Adovich.
It's Miller Adovich. Oh, hey, Miller. Okay. That's not the only Jason I know.
Okay,
I know
gonna,
like 4
as soon as I said Brumley, I was like, wait, no. It's a he.
It's a he.
Canal Side Exotics.
See Anal Side Exotics.
No.
It can be a he.
It's 2022. They can do whatever they want. See,
What I come home to.
Danielle Cruz said my mom
She
told me.
invited me into the house.
Danielle Cruz said my mom
Not
told
you.
me I'd never find a guy to marry me. And then
damn.
my dad calls me Morticia.
That's kind of cool.
The first part's kind of rough though. Damn.
That is.
I hope it was just because they had the snakes and not like you'll never find a guy to marry you. That's a fucked up parent. That's not even
rough.
Oof. Priscilla said my landlady and her husband knew about my snakes before my parents did. With my parents, it was a disappointment, and at the same time, they were not surprised. So they were already disappointed in, I'm assuming, in Priscilla.
Y'all got some rough
I know.
parents, man.
Also, my mom said that people will never visit to
We're
where
kind of spoiled.
we are not. Wait, my mom said that people will never visit, so we are not to breathe a word that I had snakes to anyone. And dad's the one who blabbed to the family and friends, partially because it was something new to talk about, and partially because the kiddos think animals are cool.
Dad did that so that no one would come.
No,
fucking visit.
100%. I was thinking that exact thing. I'm
It backfired on him. Oh shit.
That is not at all why he blabbed.
Delaney said, they said, heck no, still haven't managed to get my dream snake. I still move around a lot. Moving around a lot does make it hard to own reptiles. They kind of take up some space.
They're rough to move too because
They're-
they require so much attention.
Yes.
I was a nervous wreck when we moved our stuff, and we only moved 4 hours.
You should have been there when Sam and I moved from Alabama to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Motel 6 may be okay with dogs. I'm not sure if they were okay with the 100 snakes that were also in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We didn't pay the deposit on that one.
that's true.
No.
English Robert said, my mom spent 2 to 3 years telling me I need to get rid of them, and she stopped coming into my apartment when I got tarantulas. I mean, that could be good.
We'll talk about the spider thing in a minute.
Zach said, took me years of convincing my mom. Once I did enough research and was able to clearly support my reasoning, I was able to get a snake under the conditions that if it ever got out, I have to get rid of it. So make sure you don't
Assuming you could find it.
make sure you don't get a baby corn snake because those things can get out pretty easily. Our buddy John Feely said my dad had one way back when he was a kid, but to this day, my mom still kind of hates them and she deals with them for my sake.
Oh.
Allison said I was 21, about to finish school, but still living at home and wanted a box turtle. My mom came with me to the local pet shop while I was doing my research, and my dad came with me to the Reptile Expo where I found my box turtle. They both love Griffin. They will politely ask about my snake, Noodle, but they don't interact with it.
Turtles are a little different than snakes, though, for most people.
I agree.
People
I
tend to
think
not be
so.
afraid of turtles.
Yeah.
I mean,
They got a goofy face. They move slow.
Tortoises,
they've
yeah.
never seen the turtles that will bite your finger.
Yeah, they haven't had to deal with 100-pound snapping turtles
Joke.
or like full-grown soft-shell turtles.
Or the shit you had in your backyard.
What did I have in my? Oh, the tortoises. My tortoises. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Everyone thinks sulcatas are cute as babies.
Yeah, till they pee on you.
They're not as cute at 70, 80 pounds.
No.
Ilana said they still think I'm crazy, which they're not wrong. Her mother hates snakes. They came to the Conroe show and made her go outside to say hello to them. They would not,
I remember that.
I do remember they would not let her come in. Lainey said my mom already bred snakes, so she got lucky. Yeah, it's cheating. And then Shelby Brown said my mom always had obscure pets, so it was never a bad thing. More of a, it's about your time to get one of those.
That must be Callie that just commented.
Let's see. Darren said, I didn't tell my family. I just came home from college with it, 5-hour drive home, and I didn't tell them until we got in the house. They let me keep it because I was only home for the summer. Well, at least they didn't make you get rid of it.
No joke.
You said it's Callie, you think?
It's got to be.
Oh, yeah, it's just JT. So this should be Callie Grant. It says, I got my first leopard gecko my first year of high school. My parents wouldn't let me have snakes. So when I met JT, I moved in with him after like 2 months and immediately bought a snake. I'm not sure if it's worth moving in with JT to own a snake. I think I just would have not had one. So mine.
Well, let me tell mine first.
Go ahead and tell yours.
So my dad was one of the believers that if it was in his house, it didn't need to be living. And I can vividly, reptile wise.
Oh, okay. Just making sure, because he had
he had lots of children.
So he was okay with something living.
Good Catholic family.
He was just a terrible shot.
There were 7 of us. No, I vividly remember it was a rat snake that got into our house. And I remember him moving like the dining room table to like one side of the room and taking all the paneling off of our wall behind where the chest freezer and the stand-up freezer were, because he was getting that snake out of the wall before he went to bed. And he eventually got it and
killed it.
No, it like he took it somewhere else. But this is the
Took it
same
somewhere
man.
else.
It took a nap.
I mean, I don't know. This is also the same man that worked with Auburn University and got indigos released at his hunting lease because he knew that particular section of the woods were beneficial for them for breeding. And then when he would give new members of the hunting camp tours, he would always introduce them to the snakes that lived in the barn and at the shooting range. And he was like, you kill my snakes and we're going to have a problem because they keep everything else away. So even though he wasn't a big fan, he was a firm believer in they're good for the ecosystem. They're, good for life, just not in the house. My mom, on the other hand, she used to catch green anoles and then she would hang them from her ears like earrings. And she almost gave my grandmother a heart attack one time.
That's gotta. I don't know if anybody here in the group right now is
It's got to be a southern
from
thing.
the north, but that's gotta be a southern thing.
That's what Mommy used to do.
Like the whole putting green anoles in their ears.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen people that'll put green anoles in their ears because they'll latch on, and
She would like walk around with the lizard hanging from her ear.
That's a challenger to do that with a spider.
I was just going to say, now this is the same woman who, when I was in the 8th grade and did my science fair project with a tarantula, it lived inside of a container that was duct tape closed inside of another container. And I had to take it to the far end of the driveway to be able to feed it or do anything with it. I wasn't allowed to do any of that in the house. And
I would challenge her to put broadhead skinks on her ears. Those things have jaws like hell.
She's cool with everything we have now, except for she's not a fan of the jumping spiders. You don't have a tarantula anymore
Yet.
But she's also, as long as she knows where it is in the house, it doesn't bother her.
She knows what room to set fire to.
Yeah, she knows what room not to hang out in, so she's cool with it.
Did she know that we had like 300 baby jumping spiders loose in the house?
Nope, because she might listen to this podcast.
They're not alive anymore. The baby that's like playing whack-a-mole with those things.
Oh man, and your mom's not a fan of. She doesn't mind anything. She's not a big fan of the spiders either.
Yeah, and she deals with it.
Yeah, both of our moms do. And then, Cameron has come, my stepdad, he's come to a couple of the reptile shows.
And thinks it's fucking weird.
And he's like, y'all are all weird. But I'm glad you have a community of people that are just like you to hang out with. Like, he's so supportive.
But unlike some of the people that we've had on here and some people I've talked to, he at least showed up and walked around and was there.
Multiple times. He's been to multiple shows.
Yeah.
And he takes care of our tortoises for us.
That's true. They're living at the house. They're taking care of the tortoises. So do you want to explain... Do you want to explain the first snake you got? Because I was too young. I was like 2.
Well, yeah. There wasn't a whole lot to explain. I decided that I wanted a snake, and of course, this was in the late 80s, early 90s.
So you were like 20.
20. Well, yeah, 21, 22, something like that. And if you wanted a snake, you wanted a ball python. That's what
and
was there.
And these weren't ball pythons like now. These were a lot of wild caught and a lot of
it was. It was and to my knowledge, before anything got big.
Yeah.
They were just ball pythons. They were just a normal ball python. There was no albinos out there. There was no any of that. They were out there, I guess, but not for normal people.
That term is relative
in the reptile world. Normal. And your mom was she was cool with it. She thought it was good. Anything that she could use for shock value against other people was always she'd be in. And we had a friend of hers actually, that they couldn't get their ball python to eat. Go figure. And
that's what I think would surprise so many people nowadays who get into the hobby now, is that like every time now people complain about their ball python like going on a hunger strike. I was like, no. There's a difference between your ball python going on a hunger strike now and 30 years ago when the hunger strike meant I'm done fucking eating.
Yep.
Now I'm just going to die.
Yep. Pretty much. And so we got that. And I guess it wouldn't eat, and it eventually died.
That's the one that got out.
Well, yeah, it got out.
I found it as a kid in my toy box.
In your toy box, you were crawling around in your toy box, and your mom had her friend over who, unbeknownst to us, not only didn't like snakes and was deathly afraid of them, but had seizures. So
no,
yeah,
I've never heard this part of the story.
That happened. So James comes out, look what I found. And there was the seizure.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
And you were out of town.
I had moved back to Mississippi. This was in Charleston. So anyway, that snake didn't.
Yeah, that went through.
It didn't last much longer than that.
Yeah, because back then what we thought of taking care of a snake properly was not taking care of a snake properly.
Yeah, you put it in a fish tank and you put some wood chips or whatever in it, and you didn't buy frozen mice. You just threw a mouse in there, and in our case, watch the mouse fuck with your snake.
Yeah. Eventually, they tried to force feed it dog food at the vet.
They did, and that was in the I don't know, it may have been a year that we owned it. That was the only thing it ate, was that syringe full of dog food.
Wow.
Yeah.
So anyway, we
Victor said the magic toy chest. You never know what you're gonna pull out.
Yeah, especially in our house. So then we moved back to Mississippi,
and then I moved to England for a year, came back, and then it was sometime shortly after that, because it was first grade.
Yeah,
so that would have been around 91,
somewhere in there. Yeah, and
we drove like 40 minutes to a small pet shop in a little tiny town.
I was going to say it was the only
Amory,
pet shop, Amory, or I think it was Amory, Mississippi, and they had red-tail boas.
Yeah, cool.
Who knows what kind of red-tail boas, but they
most likely Colombians, but yeah.
And so we bought I don't remember if it was a baby, but it was young.
It was a baby, because I vividly remember
it was like a pencil,
walking around the store with it in my hand and seeing people like run from the aisle I walked on. And I'm like a first grader holding this little tiny boa, and people were afraid of me.
Oh, I bet you were so cute.
Adorable.
Yeah, not so much.
That was past his creepy looking phase. He could have been cute then.
Could have been. He wasn't, but he could have been.
Fuck both.
You went through a creepy looking phase. I don't know what to tell you. Your eyes were like sunken in, and you look sickly.
And my mom thinks those pictures
are
adorable.
Her favorite pictures of you. You know the one I'm talking about.
My face rounded out now.
I mean, I look like I had a boy haircut for the first 12 years of my life.
You look like a boy in some of those pictures.
I did. It's okay. I was still cute.
So we got it, and
It's the frog.
The frog.
Like, what the
you do that every time, and you forget.
Katie's Brazilian horn frog is in the next door room. It's normally in her classroom, but during the summer it's at home. And every now and then, randomly, they go as loud as it can. And if you're not expecting, and it only does it like once or twice, so it doesn't give you enough time to figure out what the fuck that noise is in your house, unless you know what it is.
I thought the Greek food was working on you. There's a little hummus coming out.
No.
So anyway, we kept it. It got 6 feet or so, didn't it?
We kept it for 3 years. We got rid of it by the time I was in third grade, and I was the same. We lived in the same place.
Oh, is this the time that you got scared of the snake?
I don't think I was afraid of the snake. I think Mom was more.
Well, so you had the 2 kids moved in next door.
Yeah.
And you wanted to show it to them. So I said, well, y'all stay downstairs. I went up to get it, and it wasn't in the fish tank. Go figure. And that kind of scared the shit out of your mom. But I mean, I found it pretty quickly. But anyway, that was a great snake. That snake that was wonderful. Never struck at anything. Never.
But that was also, again, we were keeping it in a way that now would not be acceptable. We had a heat rock. Green carpet.
No way. You had the heat rock.
It was the stereotype. It was the green astroturf, a heat rock, and the brown and blue ceramic bowl, and the one good use for encyclopedias. You stack them on top of the cage so you can't get out.
I was a snake keeper.
Lord, I love it.
That was Rocky Balboa. We are super original.
Because I'm also very original guy.
The ball python was Monty Python.
Yeah. Well, I'm an original guy. You wouldn't let me name it Boots.
So we kept that one, and we got rid of it.
And I sold it.
Yeah. Which is a shame, because that'd have been a cool snake.
Yeah.
The next reptile, I don't actually remember us getting rid of until like 3 weeks later, and I realized it wasn't in the house anymore. Was an iguana, which was a horrible purchase.
I didn't know you had an iguana.
I never took care of it.
I screwed the pooch on that one.
I never took care of it ever.
This is why I wasn't told about this one, I guess.
And they finally got rid of it, and I didn't notice it until after it was gone.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was like a year later. Didn't we used to own an iguana?
Yeah.
Shut up, kid.
And then I did a science fair experiment, my 6th grade year. And we ordered anoles through Carolina Biological Supply, and I had 6 anoles that I ran my science fair, because you can't do it anymore. You can't use anything with a backbone. No vertebrates, and usually I think a lot of places only let you do live animals at all. But they let me.
I could do a tarantula because it didn't have a vertebrae.
Yeah. So I kept one died during the experiment out of the 6. I kept the other 5 alive, ran the experiment, and then like a horrible person, I let animals go into the wild.
You did have several turtles in between here.
That's true. I had a box turtle during the time when we had the snake, the boa.
It was in that same townhouse.
Yeah, and I turned my back for a few minutes, left it outside, and it wandered off. And I remember mom spent
Found a walkabout.
Mom spent like all night in the woods looking for that thing.
Oh,
Yeah, I had that box turtle. We had some like regular sliders that came home. One was a classroom pet, came home,
Yeah.
and that was sat on the back porch in a nasty. Remember, it was a
I was
nasty
gonna
green
say
tank.
change the water on your turtles.
Yeah. Use a filter nowadays. Definitely use a filter nowadays, and don't use a 10-gallon tank.
Hey, shit. Go figure.
oh my god.
I remember with the boa, there were several funny things. One, we bought a mouse and it was pregnant, and they're like, here, so we're going to keep it, let it have the babies, raise them up, and then feed them.
Because we're going to beat the system.
But it had the babies. We kept it on.
Totally see you saying that too.
We kept it on the back.
Damn right.
We kept it on the back porch. And one day I went out and there's a mouth hanging out of the mom's mouth, and there
A
a foot hanging out of the mom's mouth, and no babies.
He was like, what?
She ate
How old
them
were you?
all?
5, 6, 7?
It was first, second
7.
grade somewhere there.
And she ate
A
them all.
kid freaked the fuck out.
I just remember there's a foot hanging out of her mouth.
And here I am trying not to laugh my ass off. If y'all want to wonder why
Oh god.
he is the way he is, I had nothing to do with it.
And then I think I've told the story on here before, but if anybody's old enough to remember when Walmart used to have birds and hamsters and mice,
Do you remember that?
the guy that worked the pet area and Walmart knew that we owned a snake. And we went in one day and he asked Sam, do y'all want this hamster? Because every time we reach in there, it bites us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we said, sure. And he gave it to us for free. And it didn't bite anybody else ever again.
Oh my god.
we
Snake had filet mignon that night.
we had a little talk with it and explained to it the error of its ways,
And it never did it
and
again.
it never did it again.
Oh jeez.
I do remember that. I remember the free hamster.
That's funny.
And then for all of your parents out there who didn't want your kid to have, or didn't want you to have snakes, and you had to fight for it with your parents, we drove 10 hours.
For which one?
Oh,
We haven't got there yet.
oh,
Talk about the next boa.
yeah.
Yeah, we haven't got there yet.
Oh, I don't know what was next then.
Ozzy was the first one. That was in Dothan.
That's right. We went
So,
and followed him.
It was my
That's-
senior year of high school. A small reptile show came to Dothan, or our hometown in Alabama. At the time, our hometown, moved to like 15 different towns.
Another great decision of ours because we were such established keepers of reptiles.
We go to this place, and it's the first expo we've ever been to.
Is this when you built the cage?
At some point, that came farther down the line.
Yeah,
Okay.
you-
There were a
you
lot
can't
of-
do that as singular.
No.
There were a lot of steps to get to every cage we had for Ozzy. But we went there, and we didn't go there in intention of buying anything. It was just,
Well, I think me and your mother didn't.
I mean,
You may have gone with the intention of trying to talk us into buying something.
yeah. So we saw a baby rainbow boa.
Joe on every outing we take with your parents.
We knew nothing
What?
about rainbow boas, other than this baby was pretty
We knew it was pretty.
and it didn't bite me,
It was pretty.
which is, for anybody that's ever been around baby rainbow boas, amazing.
is
And-
because his babies sure were bitey.
So we got it. It was 125. I remember it was 125 bucks because they were 125 bucks for like a decade. They're not that anymore, but they
Nope.
were. And we got it, and then we brought it home and put it in a glass tank with.
Encyclopedias.
I don't think we didn't have an undertank heating. I had probably a heat lamp above it,
I think he may have told us to get, and we got one of those stick on heat.
but there was no
pads.
thermostat. I don't remember.
No
using-
thermostat. There
there was
was
no
no such
th-
thing as a thermostat.
Yeah, we
we don't
use a-
need no stinking thermostat.
It's just jabbed it there on the bottom.
I mean, 182 degrees is perfect, right?
Oh my god.
And we
we
had
did put water on top of that thing, so we got some humidity to come
Yeah.
out of
What
the
time-
screen
wait,
top.
So this was your senior year of high school?
senior year of high school.
And you graduated in 03.
Yes.
Okay.
Was it your senior year?
Yeah. So he we put a towel over top of it to try and hold moisture in because the humidity was a big issue. I did join Facebook, kingsnake.com at that point. I was on Kingsnake all the time, asking questions as an annoying 17, 18
At this
year old.
point in my life, I was still not cool with reptiles.
And we went through so many things with that snake.
No, that snake went through so many things with us.
That is true. So we got it. I graduated. I took it to college, but the problem was I kept getting mites, Every time
That's because of the dorm you lived in.
it's an ancient dorm.
Jeez.
But what's crazy is mites are reptile specific, which means that there had to be reptile mites in the dorms.
Well, that building has since been torn down.
Yes, Victor. I'm pretty sure we did have one of those fish tank not thermostat,
Thermometers.
the thermometer sticker slapped on the side to let us know what color the temperature was at that moment.
Yeah, like right before it was going to boil the snake.
When it got to orange red, not blue green.
Jason Miller-Adovich said, first of all, he said that he has some cages at his house that came from Walmart when they got rid of their reptiles. So that in and of itself is fabulous. And I'm going to need a photograph. He also said his first group of rainbows were in a glass fish tank with heat lamps and carpet.
I
do think we at least used
wood
chips.
Substrate. Yeah.
Yeah. So like a
because we could
cypress mulch or something.
Because we had a spray bottle we'd spray it down with because you got to have some humidity.
So we went from glass tank to I was taking to the dorms. We put it into a clear Rubbermaid tub with locking lid. It did have a locking lid. At that point, I think we got a thermostat because I remember having a hole drill on the side to hang the thermostat. Right. So we did finally get a thermostat.
Well, you only had them in your dorm for a year.
It wasn't even a year. It kept getting mites, so I couldn't keep it there. And they had moved to Georgia at this point, so we had to go home and live with them. So we went to live with them. And then Sam found
once again, I'm a professional snake keeper now.
Found a jewelry case, like a store jewelry display case. Big one, like 6 foot long, sliding glass doors, glass front, glass top.
That sounds pretty cool.
It was beautiful.
It was pretty. We hooked up, we drilled a hole in the side, put PVC pipe in there, ran it all the way across with little holes in it, hooked it up to a humidifier so it would come on a timer.
Put it on a timer.
Yeah. That lasted less than a year because those things are made out of MDF, and MDF doesn't like moisture, and rainbows like moisture, and so that fell apart. And then
allegedly,
and then we built the dumbest fucking snake cage.
Oh yes, this is the one I know. Is it?
This is the one we had in the apartment. Yeah.
Yeah. That thing was a beast.
This was 4 by 2 by 2, which one is
and thick as
it was 3/4 inch.
It was 3/4 inch birch plywood that we
fucking like $100 a sheet. What idiot?
We painted it. We didn't even stain it. We painted it. So it would be waterproof on the inside. And it had this giant plexiglass front, had a plexiglass lid that lifted on the top that warped like crazy.
Sucker was heavy.
Had the hole drilled in for the humidifier. That lasted several years for him until finally, I think he ended up going in a tub.
Well, that's even better than the paint. Don't forget, we used because snakes don't breathe. We we went a foot up all the way around with fiberglass resin to make it waterproof. Because if something's worth doing, it's worth overdoing.
Oh God, that cage!
I'm totally putting that on a shirt.
I love Darren. Darren had 2 carpets so he could wash one and let one dry.
Nice.
The old cage carpet. So somewhere in that period when you were in Georgia was when you talked about it was a Friday night and we saw there was going to be a reptile show in Columbia, South Carolina. It was like a 10-hour drive.
This was before me.
Yeah. And Sam was like,
oh, this is when you got Izzy.
Yeah. Sam was like, let's go. And so the next morning we woke up super early and maybe it was an 8-hour drive to Columbia.
Something like
that. It was, anyways, and drove all the way to Columbia to a Repticon.
We were in Georgia. We were we were in North Florida.
Yeah, it's basically, just right across the line.
Thomasville, Georgia, 45 minutes from Tallahassee.
Drove all the way through Georgia to Columbia, South Carolina to a Repticon. And I bought my first boa myself. I'm going to call it red tail. I don't give a fuck if anybody they changed the names, but it was a Colombian red tail.
From the same guy that you bought the rainbow from.
Yeah.
That's why we went to that show.
Yeah, because he was going to be there.
I didn't know they came from the same guy.
I bought Izzy, and that was my boa that I kept up until all my boas.
We've been together almost 18 years, and I'm learning all kinds of shit about you on this podcast.
I had Izzy up until I had that issue where all my boas just died on me, which I'm sure was like crypto or one of the diseases that we don't test for that we should. But
that was a rough.
That was one of those periods where that's one of those periods where I was like, I should just get out of this shit and be done with it.
That was rough.
I kind of thought that too. Seriously, I mean, because you were. It was just like one after the other.
It was awful.
I lost all of my boas in like a month.
Yeah,
but that was the only thing in the collection. Everything else lived.
Everything else was fine. Yeah,
it
was rough. So I remember
at some point. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
At some point, was it for your birthday or something? we bought you 2
Doom rolls.
No. Fuck those
That's-
doom rolls.
No, that was
Just
different.
kidding.
Fuck those
Nah.
doom rolls. The only person that doom rolls. Because we had them delivered to your apartment.
Oh, so that's a funny
Troy.
story. So that was after we'd already gone to like Daytona. So when I first met Katie, that was 2005, and that August, we saw Daytona, and we were like, let's go. And that was our first big trip. That was me.
I went with you.
Me,
The trip of
you.
the snart.
That
Found out you can sneeze and fart at the same time.
So do I tell that story? That's how I knew that Katie was a keeper. I looked at Lori after that.
Oh my God.
So here we are, his new girlfriend with his mom and dad, who mom is pretty
She's pretty mellow.
pretty mellow. Yeah, she that's
She tolerates the 3 of us very well.
and
Yes.
and
She only loves us for Joe at this
that's
point.
right. And me. um and we're crossing the street to go to Burger King.
Johnny Rockets.
It was Johnny Rocket.
Johnny Rockets.
because that's where we
Not
got.
That's the only time we would eat at Johnny Rockets was in Daytona.
And Katie you'd known me for a day and a half by this point. You've been 6 hours in a car with me, and
Well,
then
no, I
we had
come
met,
to visit.
but this was like our first like away trip.
That-
yeah.
so we go to run across the street, and I don't know what the hell happened, but I sneezed
Some demon passed
And-
through you or something.
and it came
Oh,
out both ends. And Katie in the middle of the road is like bawling, laughing. And I looked
gonna die.
I looked at Lori and I was like, oh, she's a keeper.
The old snark.
Oh, good.
It's better than a shark. It wasn't a shark.
It was dry.
I thought I was going to die. It's like 18 years later, and it's still this funny to me.
That was the Daytona where we bought like 5 corn snakes.
Corn snakes, yeah.
Bought 5 corn snakes.
Yeah, that was the Daytona that we almost got Mexican black king snakes for $50 a piece.
Actually, I think they were $40 a piece back then.
Ah,
Not
it's okay. I have
$200
one
a
now,
piece
and
now.
she's fabulous.
But no, we did end up buying. I online. It was I can't remember the name because it's Rob Stone's old company. Because I messaged him later on because it was 20 years later. I realized it was Rob Stone that I bought them from.
That's funny.
But there was a pair of Colombian rainbow boas, Colombian red tail boas for sale on King Snake. It was an adult female that was supposed to be like 5 foot and a male that was supposed to be like 4 foot. So we order them, get them shipped through the mail service because there is no. It may have been through UPS, but it wasn't. There was no like reptile shipping back
there
then.
was no Debbie back
There
then.
was
that
no
we
Debbie
knew
back
of.
then. Yeah, it was. So we get them. It's 2 boxes taped together to be one,
Taped together. That's
and it was heavy as fuck. And on the
It was
outside,
labeled frogs.
it said live frogs, which
You
it was
remember
not.
that?
It was not. We cut it open. We also built 2 cages for these.
we had them ready.
The fucking coffins that we built. These were
Yeah.
5
right.
foot by 2 foot by 18 inches tall,
Because again, you're gonna get
Again.
a 6 foot snake. You need a 5 foot cage.
all made out of 3/4 inch birch plywood, and heavy as all fucking get out. I sold those. Someone probably still has them. There's no way.
But I was gonna say none of those cages were coming apart.
No,
Oh,
those were
no.
almost. You could sleep in those
Once
things.
again, if it's worth doing.
But we had them ready for him, and I opened the bag for the male, and he was not 4 foot. He was all of 5 foot easy. And I opened the female, and she is well over 6 foot.
She
Oh,
was
yeah.
a monster.
And
She was
all
thick, too.
She was.
Yeah, whoever picked up that box thinking frogs is like, what fucking frogs are in here?
Bowling frogs.
So we got those. That's when I found out that big adult males don't do shit.
Yep.
He would not want to breed. He didn't want to
Wanna do
move. He
anything.
didn't want to do anything. You put him with the female, he'd sit in the corner and just stare at her.
Yep.
That's where Izzy, which was a male, no,
Yes.
Yeah. Izzy, which was a male, I put in and was like, hey, I'll do this, and went right to town
And he had a good time.
because he was still small.
Just to clarify from earlier, when Jason Miloradovich said that he had carpet, it was not reptile carpet. It was legit carpet from the family's carpet store. He
Just
had
some
2 for
shag
each
carpeting in
cage
there.
so he could wash it. And he said his second and third homemade cages were 4 feet wide, 3 feet
Jesus.
deep, and 2 feet tall. And he finished the inside with countertop laminate that was glued on with
Hell yes.
contact cement, sat inside them and painted the adhesive on. Couldn't walk in a straight line for a few hours after.
So
I don't
Jason,
know that I could have moved.
you from
after
from
that.
an early age, you took my theory of if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. I like it.
But
That's funny.
through all of this, there have been times where Sam says he thinks I'm stupid, but he's never said
I
he
think I've heard
disapproves of
that.
any of it.
I think I've heard that way more than you have. Every time I've wanted to bring another dog home.
Yeah.
Dogs are different.
You got there's
Sam used to not be a dog person, but now he has Maggie in his life.
yes, but yes.
I like the mammals. What can I say?
They are more time consuming.
They are. They are.
And I can't leave a dog for 3 weeks and be fine.
And
No.
you know, yeah, I've never used my child against my husband to bring home a dog.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I've never disapproved of the reptile because by the time you really started getting big, it was your money and your house. I didn't,
Yeah.
I mean, who was I to say at that point? I thought at some points, because I know, you know, the old didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, and you're buying more snakes to feed. And I'd think to myself, what the fuck is the matter with him? But you know, at that point you didn't have a kid. It was just you and Katie, and you know,
Katie can't say no.
You know, so so while I never disapproved of the reptiles, it wasn't always in my mind the best fiscal move. But again, who the hell am you know, I wasn't paying your bills, so what the hell do I care?
So that's
So how did the Doomerals come to be?
Okay, so here's the Doomerals. There was a reptile show in Tallahassee. Y'all live in Tallahassee.
Yep.
We went to the reptile show in Tallahassee, and
both of them were Tallahassee.
Because you had the Doomerals before I went to the house in Tallahassee.
This is how it happened. We bought the Doomerals ourselves. Named it Lamont. The fucker never ate.
Yeah, he did.
Lamont
never ate.
He ate my blood.
Nope. Lamont never bit. Never ate. Then Sam had a friend who had gotten a Doomerals at the reptile show, and they didn't want it anymore because it bit. And we said, sure, we'll fucking take it.
I'm a professional snake keeper. I can teach it not to bite.
and they may have came from the same people because they were the exact same size.
Holy shit.
But this fucker, it ate, but it wanted to eat you every time too. It was fucking horrible. So I had one that wouldn't touch anything, couldn't get it to eat, and couldn't do anything.
Right.
And another one that just wanted to kill you. And so I ended up taking them to, there was this really shady reptile store in Tallahassee, which anybody that's in that area probably knew it.
That was shady.
Yeah, it was fucking shady.
You gotta explain Lamont.
Okay,
I want to know where the name
Lamont, that's easy.
too.
All right, so anybody that's ever watched Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
Knows
Lamont, you big dummy.
Big dummy. He's a Doomeral, a dumb, and they call him, so it was Lamont.
Oh my god.
The Doomerals, fella. The other one was Diablo because it was fucking evil.
The other one should have been dead.
So I took both of them to this shady ass reptile store in Tallahassee and traded them for a pair of Kenyan Sambos, an Anery male and a regular female, and a striped lavender whatever corn snake. Which I think I ended up selling the corn snake at some point later down the road. I still have that female Samboa.
I would have paid the guy $50 to take those snakes.
I still have that female Samboa, and I had that male Samboa was the one I lost for like 3 months in college.
That ended up downstairs when your
we got it back.
moved.
Had it for years after that until he had tons of babies.
When his buddy Kevin moved downstairs into the other townhouse, somehow he was in like a pile of clothes or something. That's all we can figure.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Kevin ever watches this, but how the hell did he see it?
He didn't. So he got moved with
outside.
him. And then what happened was a neighbor 3 doors down when they was out smoking, and the snake goes across that guy's foot.
That's right.
He picks it up. He goes next door to our other friend who lives downstairs. He goes, look, man, look what I found.
And
our
he was
other
like,
goes, wait a
holy
minute.
shit,
That's my buddies.
That Drew.
That was Drew.
Yeah.
And Drew got it back to me. And that's how I got him back.
Lord.
That's right. I do remember that.
And he was fine. He bred for years and years. And then he finally passed. But I still have the female. She's still pumping out babies.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't have that fucking evil Doomerals. I finally do have a Doomerals
You
again
have
after
like the one
after like
evil
15
Doomeral
years.
that ever existed, apparently.
Everyone said that's why we got one. First of all, they're cool looking.
They are gorgeous.
And everyone always, they're great snakes. They're docile. They eat. You don't have to worry about a thing. That was our payback for how we all the stupid cages we built for
Ozzy. Poor Ozzy. So Ozzy, going back to the rainbow boa, that thing he lived for 17 years. He died last year, 2 years ago. 2 years ago now. But he lived for 17 years. Through all the shit.
It'll be 2 years in February, so it's been a year and a half.
Okay. Through all the shit that we did to him, he made it. He was great. He was a wonderful snake. But every time someone's like, I think I should get a rainbow boa. Not as your first snake, you shouldn't. Don't do it. Don't do it. as much as I love them, and every time I sell a baby, I'm like, have you kept other stuff? Please tell me you've kept other stuff, because
that was man, that was just not fair to that snake, man.
But he made it 17 years.
Good life.
Fucking love that snake.
Lots of babies.
Yep. So yeah, I've and then I just bought snakes and everything since then. But so the funny thing is, so meeting Katie,
I was terrified.
yeah. So, but the baby, so I had the
Terrified.
small red tail at the time.
Who was such a little. No, you didn't have a small. Yeah, you
Yes,
had Izzy.
Izzy
the
was small, and I had Ozzy, my
And he was
rainbow. He was full
spastic.
grown.
Izzy was like pencil thin, could fit between my glasses and my face. He was so small.
Yeah, the boa constrictor. Yeah.
And he was so spastic and all over the place and moved constantly. And
I had the
Ozzy,
two
this
Durmals,
rainbow
yeah.
boa,
That were evil. One was evil.
the rainbow boa was like this old man. He just sat there, didn't do anything, super chill. That was the snake that got me over my
That was the
fear.
first house in Tallahassee. I remember introducing Ozzy to you there. And so the funny part though came when we finally we were going to have a kid, because we had so many people ask us if we were going to get rid of our reptiles now that we were having
How
a
much
kid.
do you want? I remember people specifically asking me about certain reptiles, wanting to know how much we were going to sell them for.
I'm like,
We're not.
I plan on getting more. I don't know what you're talking about getting rid of.
At that point, you had been a zookeeper for long enough,
And I'd had
and
the
we
snakes.
didn't have anything in our house that was dangerous.
Yeah, and I had snakes almost.
Well,
a
yeah, a
decade.
corn snake can strangle and eat your child.
I
You didn't
mean,
know that?
yeah.
According to the news.
But there was no reason.
Jason said rainbows were second, third, fourth, and fifth purchases for him from classifieds in the back of Reptiles magazine. First was a mall pet store red tail.
Nice.
We'll see, you were well versed in how to take care of snakes when you had that one red tail. From
You
the
were
mall.
like us. You were a professional snake keeper.
Professional.
So
There's so many mistakes you can make with rainbows, but yeah.
Isn't that
So
what Jason breeds?
he has rainbows. Yeah, he breeds
Yeah.
them. But there were some people that couldn't believe that, and then I also
Sorry, Jason. I have no idea.
and everyone else that owns snakes have had this one where you tell someone you own snakes and you get the I'm never coming.
I'm
to
never
your-"
coming to your house.
Well, no, fuck, you weren't invited.
That's what I tell people. It's cool. You weren't invited to begin with.
I've never had someone I invited to my house be like, I'm not coming to your house. So
If anything, all of our daughter's friends want to come over.
Yeah.
Because we're the cool house with all the animals.
Well, that's the way it was when you were growing up. Is it was,
Yeah.
I want to go see the snakes.
Yep.
so
We have
Parents
adults.
freaked out.
We have adults that come over to our house. Can we see everything?
So Victor said the corn stick line's right up next to you, to your finger to size it up before it eats it.
Yeah, that's right.
God, I fucking hate that story. There's no way anybody that's been in the hobby longer than a year hasn't heard the story though. The old the woman that had a big snake and it went on a hunger strike, and then it would sleep in her bed and it began laying next to her, and the vet told her it was trying to size you. It was
I didn't
starving-
realize the vet was the one that told her this.
That's the way it goes. The vet told her
Oh,
that
I didn't
the
know that
snake was
part.
starving itself and sizing her up to make sure he could eat her. By the way, if you're listening to this, that's not a true story. Please don't go around telling that. I'm fucking tired of it. Also, I wish there was as much as Facebook likes to censor Facebook, I need them to build some sort of filter that if a meme gets posted more than twice in a group, that anyone else in the future that tries to post it, it gets blocked and doesn't get posted again.
Yeah.
Because if I see one more thing of or video or anything that's been posted over, like the retic that bit the woman that got posted in groups, it get- just every
See,
3
I'm
months
just
that
not
happens.
part of those groups, so I don't see all that stuff. It's great.
I create those memes.
Jason said the pet store taught him everything you need to know. Still got a hot rock or two floating around. I have a hot rock somewhere just so I can show people this is a hot rock.
It's in. I actually think I know which box it's in the garage.
Yeah,
Because
right.
no, because this
Because it's marked
labeled.
reptiles.
Those are labeled. Because it's on this wall of the garage. I know
Shit not to
exactly.
use.
Yeah.
That's what it's labeled.
Well, he kept it for like educational purposes, and like we have a whole bunch of stuff that sits on the don't use this stuff on the table, and yeah,
I always love when I tell people, all right, you need a
like we cut the cord off, like the extension cord. Like you can't even plug it in.
when you tell
anymore.
folks you need a thermostat for their cage, they go, yeah, I've got one, and they're talking about a thermometer. Like that's not a thermostat. That's not what that does.
It's so funny.
Oh,
Well, everyone can't know everything. Look at what the shit we did.
I know. Well, but the problem is now, like it's so much easier. Like there wasn't that much stuff out there when we first
Yeah.
got into it. Everything.
Oh no.
Now there's 5 million YouTube videos. Although there's also 10 million that show you how to do it wrong.
I was going to say the problem is that half of those 5 million are wrong.
So that's a huge problem there. But yeah, I hate it for folks. Every time I hear a story where someone's talked about their parents not letting them have something, and then they have to wait years. And luckily, many of them, after they wait years, still have that passion. They still want it and they still get it. But man, I hate it for them. But I was that typical
yeah,
kid.
but you think about it, and I forget but said that her parents made her do the research, save.
Yeah,
that's pretty good parenting.
That's good.
Travis did the same thing.
Travis,
our buddy Travis.
His daughter wanted a carpet python, and then eventually wanted a scrub python.
Yeah.
And he made her write a report. And Travis is a college. For those that don't know, Dr. Travis Wyman,
a college professor. He's never been a teacher.
He's not. Why did
I do that all the time.
Katie messes up. He's not a college professor.
He will text me. I'm not a teacher. I'm like,
but he's Dr. Travis Wyman made his daughter write a research report
on that snake and the care of that snake.
And like he graded it. He took it and
he sent it to buddies that breed these for a living.
So his daughter had to defend her thesis.
Basically.
Yes, pretty much.
And then she earned the right to get
Travis,
her.
Come on, man.
Oh yeah.
But really and truly, that creates a kid who's gonna.
I'm gonna tell you what, I learned so much hiking with those two. She was telling me all about the damselflies and the lantern bugs that are invasive.
Cool.
They weren't the bug; it was the aphids, I think.
That doesn't surprise me that Travis's kid would do that.
Yeah.
Darren says research was so hard back in the day you couldn't do it from your bed like nowadays.
I read news articles on my phone just because that's the only way I keep.
If my back didn't hurt, I'd get up and find a book. But there used to be a group of books that every pet store had. It was a black and white book with a cartoon drawing of whatever the animal was on the front of it.
Oh.
And they were thin, but they had them on everything. I know I may have the one on Boas. I don't know. But they were there on the little book rack at the front, and that was your research. That's one of that was a good Reptiles and Amphibians Keeper's Guide by Barron's. These were the Bartletts wrote this one, but these Barron's books.
Wrote this one too. Yeah.
There's one on there's one on rainbow boa. There's a receipt in here.
Oh Lord!
How about that? On rainbow boas and neotropical tree boas, but these are even the fancier ones. I remember when they were it was a black and white book
right
about.
There. Yep.
Oh yeah.
There it is. There it is. General Care and Maintenance of Red Tail Boas by Philippe de Vaugelet, which he actually knows what he's talking about. But it was the Herpetocultural Library.
Yeah, but it could almost have been. Because look how thin it is. It's like don't kill your shit. That's the.
Well, look, I'm sure I have a boa book up. I have several boa book up there that are 5, 6, 7, 8 times the size.
You have 2 copies of Who Was Steve Irwin?
It's possible.
One of those has got to be from my classroom.
The Barron's books were all written by the Bartletts. I don't think the Herpetoculture Library books were all written by de Vaugelet. I know that he wrote several.
Those are the kid books.
Yeah, those are all the guide books, all the care books are down there where you were. They are somewhat separated, but those that was everybody's care. It was that or the kid at the pet store telling you what you needed.
That was more often than not.
Victor says PetSmart has those care sheet cards.
Yeah, those are horrible.
You make your own care sheets when you sell snakes.
I do, and I understand people who hate care sheets because it causes some keepers to become so locked in on doing just what the care sheet says and not actually paying attention to their animal. But I do like to give them some basic, and my care sheets actually show how to set up a thermostat I have pictures how to set up a thermostat on a heat pad and all the things. But I have them for my sand boas and my red tail boas. I need to make one for my rainbow boas. I haven't done that yet, but I like to give a care sheet, but it also has my contact information and everything on there too. But it's so much easier nowadays to get that information. It was, king snake was where I found in 2003, but that was not in 91 when there was no internet there to do that. So you were going purely off the information that some 18-year-old kid in a pet store was telling you and assuming that they knew what they're talking about.
And his job was to sell you all the shit they had on the shelf.
Yeah.
Because they had a boss that wanted to make sure that you were going to be what did that lady say you were going to grow up to be?
Which
you worked at her pet store
for a short period of time. Was it a snakeologist?
Snakeologist.
That was the racist. That's where I found out that many pet stores are owned by middle-aged racist white women. Because there were several of them. That one, there was another one in Alexandria. There was one in my town where I went to college. was all like middle age. That was the pet store in Georgia. You knew them through your job, and you weren't friends with them. You just knew them. They were opening a pet store, and I was going to
I
help
love
them.
how you preface you
They're
were
not
not
friends.
friends with them.
The wife kept referring to her husband working with the Browns, like a family name.
No.
The Browns.
We thought it was like Billy Brown.
Like we thought it was a family, like
Thought it
because it
was
was
the
a small
last
town.
name.
It was a small town. I figured that's not what she meant.
Oh my god.
That was not what she meant.
And in that town, you had the Browns, you had the gays, you had the. I don't
What
know
did she do when she found out you were Jewish?
She didn't
Like,
I
know.
don't know if she ever did. I was afraid she was going to search me for my horns.
oh my god.
but after that, I told Sam, I was like, I can't work there. I can't do that.
Oh, I bet not.
The Browns. Well, that's the pet store in Troy, where we went to college. The woman wanted me to follow around black people in the pet store, and I told her no. And she used to refer to the black children by a word that I can't say because if it gets recorded, it can always get replayed again with just my voice. But
Oh yeah.
if anybody ever meets me in person, ask me what she says, and it'll make you go, "What the fuck is wrong with people?"
Yeah.
But yeah, that was where I was like, I can't help you anymore. I'm done. That was the woman that went to the Mexican restaurant, came back, and had like the lettuce and tomatoes they give you through taco. She wanted to feed it to the iguanas. I was like, no, that's not what you feed the iguanas. Like, don't
Must
give them
work.
your shredded iceberg lettuce from the Mexican restaurant,
Well, it's full of nourishment.
full of water that'll make them just shit.
Oh my stars. So it's funny that you mentioned, you did all these things because you were professional snake handlers and you had all this
Not handlers,
knowledge.
handlers.
Handlers.
That's-
Excuse me.
That's a whole other podcast.
That's where my mom's from.
Excuse me.
The-
That's
those,
right.
those mountain Pentecostals,
Oh.
those were the snake handlers.
Oh, my bad.
We were professional snake keepers.
Keepers. Okay. Well, today I got my email this morning from Reptiles Magazine because that's how I get my information now. And the topic was 4 things all reptile keepers should know. The first thing is that quality nutrition is critical for all reptile species.
Iceberg lettuce from the Mexican
The
restaurant.
second thing is that different reptile species have specific requirements for optimum health and happiness.
Glass tank and a heat rock on cage carpet. Got it. We're doing good.
Encyclopedias.
Encyclopedias.
Number 3,
Who needs locks for your cage when you have encyclopedias?
insectivorous geckos need gut-loaded bugs. Important.
I don't think that was a thing for me when I was looking at pets.
And then, oh crap, I closed the email.
crap.
The fourth one was my favorite. Number 4, reptiles get bored too. Enrichment is essential.
So my grandmother, my mom's mom, came to stay with us in Columbus when we had the boa, and she did not like the boa. But
You got to preface that.
she didn't like anything
She didn't like anything.
or anybody.
I've heard
we
stories about her.
came home from work and school that day, and she had put magazines around the edge of the tank, not so she couldn't see it. That was
Really?
partially, but because the snake would get bored, she wanted to give it stuff to look at.
Look how sweet.
Wait.
No, that does not explain. my
That's
grandmother's
Sweet
so
and that woman have
cute.
never been used in the same sentence.
That's so cute. That's something my mom would do.
It is something your mom would do.
Bless her.
Jason said the guy at the mall
Love
pet store
it.
confirmed that Mexican food leftovers are good for iguana.
You're damn right. I mean, they come from Mexico.
So Darren said when his ball python would eat back in the day, the pet store told him to put in a brown paper bag with a mouse, which is what we might still somewhat refer today. But now it's with a dead mouse. Back then, just put it in there and see who comes out.
Whoever comes out is a stronger one. That's Darwinism.
The strong will survive the brown paper bag.
So I also got an email from US ARC today.
Well, I saw that about the
Yeah. So
Schaumburg is coming up. To the NABC Schaumburg show is coming up,
this weekend.
and they will be this weekend. They will have a US ARC auction like they do at all the Tinley or all the NABC shows.
Yep.
Darren said the A encyclopedia and the M were thick. Or you combine the XYZs.
That's funny.
See, that's why
S's were good too. S's are
that's why this whole hobby is going to hell because
we don't
you
have
can't hold a cage lid down with
With
this.
a cell phone.
Wikipedia just does not do
That's
it.
Couple of other things from US ARC that we might want to pay attention to. If you are in the state of Alabama, if you are not busy on August the 4th, which I believe is a Thursday. I think it's a Thursday. There is a public hearing at the Folsom Administrative Building in Montgomery. You do have to provide a 48-hour notice in advance if you want to speak, but it's a public hearing for the changes that are coming that they want to make in Alabama.
Also, if you are not good at public speaking, or if you are not good at speaking without using cuss words every 5 seconds,
Don't do it.
please don't do it. Show up. Please show up and be a warm body in the room.
Right. Or if you are someone who is very eloquent but has stage fright, write something and have someone that you know that can present it well, present it for you. The changes are all king snakes and hybrids will be illegal to own, breed, and sell without a scientific collection permit
That's fucking crazy.
or permit from the commissioner.
King snakes.
Currently, only eastern, prairie, and black speckled kings are illegal to own. So this is going to make all king snakes and hybrids illegal to own.
So is that because they're
I guarantee it's based off of bad information of that they could live there if they were to get loose and hybridize with native king snakes.
Right.
But I mean, that means that they're also including, which I'm sure they're not saying there, but that's all milk snakes as well, because milk snakes are king snakes. They fall into the same genus.
I'm probably
That's all. I'm sure it's all Lamprepeltis.
Yes, I was just about to say, I was going to spell it for you because I had no clue how to say
is
it.
the genus for kings, which means
Yes.
like California kings, the black and white California kings wouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, I think that's what they're considering the hybrids.
Yeah,
'Cause
or
they don't know.
or
what
again,
else
all
to
of your
say.
milk snakes, which are Lamprepeltis, of Pueblan milk snakes and Honduran milk snakes, those all would be illegal.
So that was the first change. The second one, it will be illegal to own more than one box turtle, or to sell or trade a box turtle without the scientific collection permit or permit from the commissioner.
I'm not overly upset with that. I think one is ridiculous. I think you should be allowed to own maybe 3 or so, but turtles are a big one just worldwide. Turtles get over harvested on a regular basis. So I'm okay with them not completely outlawing them to own them at all. At least someone can own one, because box turtles make great pets.
They really do. There are other new rules, including but not limited to additional protected non-game species and eastern diamondback rattlesnake regulations. The full proposal is available online for you to go and read. OutdoorAlabama.com. You can Google it. If you should be getting US ARC emails, so you should have gotten this email today as well. And then, of course, there's a new Lacey Act website, don'tblacklistpets.com. You can go to that website to actually reach out and contact your legislators with the information on that site in hopes that they will vote the way you want them to. And then you have the Lacey Act amendments, different things that are going on. And then they always put their frequently asked questions as well.
Yeah.
So can I say something about that?
Yeah.
First of all, what James said about your ability to respectfully speak, I'll put it that way, is super important, because don't forget who you're speaking to. They're people who don't care about your hobby.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
They hate the animals.
100%.
I mean, they just don't care. They, and they're going to vote the way they think their constituents want them to vote. Or their constituents don't care, so they're going to vote against snakes. The other thing is sending emails to representatives works.
Mm-hmm.
It works. And I'm not talking from the reptile world, because that's not my world, but it works, and it works well, and they can't ignore that. Making phone calls and leaving messages.
I mean, because you've talked on it from the gun side, like guns.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Gun ownership.
And it works. Again, voicemails and messages don't work.
Those can be deleted
Emails
without listening
work.
to.
And multiple emails work, and they don't know that email that's coming every single day is coming from you. They just know they're getting the emails.
Yeah.
So
and don't cuss in those either. Be
respectful, because don't forget, you're talking to me anyway. You have to remember that you're talking to someone who, not by the negative connotation of the word ignorant, but they're ignorant to the subject.
Right.
And they've got somebody in their ear who they think is an expert, who is telling them what they want them to know. And if no one else is telling them the opposite side of that story in a respectful way, it's never going to get through to them. So it's not their fault that they voted that way.
Right.
And it takes a lot. It takes dedication, and it takes a lot of people's dedication, but it works.
Absolutely. And you can go to US Arc. They have copies of emails. And then all you really need to do is put a paragraph at the beginning of that email that describes you and how you personally are going to be affected. And then you can share that information. And that is a really great way to do it. Jason Miller-Adovich said August 4th is his 15-year anniversary of his wife putting up with him and all those snakes. Our 13 anniversary is coming up
For marriage, not for being together.
No,
Jesus
that's
Christ.
almost 18 years.
Congratulations, all you rookies.
A long time.
But yeah, we had reptiles as a kid, but talking to go back to the parent thing, I was always kind of into them. I mean, I watched Crocodile Hunter and I love dinosaurs, and there's a picture floating around of me holding a Burmese python at the circus. And we were also that family, like if we went to a town and they had a zoo,
we went to towns because of the zoo, literally.
And we still plan.
And then we were also the family, like if it was raining, we still go to the zoo. You just hang out inside the buildings at the zoo.
Well, don't forget those days, we'd save for 3 months to be able to do a weekend in Birmingham, Alabama. That was our big weekend, but it revolved around the zoo.
Yeah.
You got new sneakers and you went to the zoo. And
did we get new sneakers on this trip too? Because he needs some work shoes. Are you volunteering?
Do you not remember me saying at the beginning of this, you pay your own bills? I don't give a shit what you do.
Damn.
I do remember going. There was.
I'll buy Joe sneakers.
Joe also needs
I'll buy her golden sneakers.
What shoe place was that? It had a basketball court inside of it. I remember that. It was by the mall. We'd always go there, and I would get new shoes, and then I could play basketball on them.
The shoe store, Shoe Carnival, has a little basketball one in the back.
No, amateur.
This was like an actual court inside there.
What?
This place was like 20,000 square feet of shoes, and
damn
it. I can't remember what it was. I don't know.
Your mom will remember.
She probably would.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I was that kid that we'd go to the zoos and look at all the cool stuff and watch the bear shit. And I just remember that I think it was the Birmingham Zoo.
Hopefully we can get to the zoo early enough this weekend so we're not all dying by 10
Oh, we're going this weekend? Okay, that'll be fun. It's gonna be hot.
There is no cool day for us to go to the Houston Zoo.
I did bring a pair of shorts. So,
I will wear shorts that day too.
Yeah.
So going through some of the things that got posted over on our Facebook page on the group discussion group. Travis Wyman posted a scientific article, The Biology, Clinical Significance, and Control of the Common. And this is where I had a shiver go down my spine. The common snake mite in captive reptiles. Anybody knows?
Say the word, it might come back.
My battle with getting rid of those was a nightmare. But if anybody wants a good, scary read, go ahead and read about snake mites. Oh, jeez. Watch the bear shit. You've got weird fetishes. I just remember the Birmingham Zoo had that old school, like large carnivore exhibit where they all shared a center rock where everything went in to sleep in the cages. And they had the huge moat around each one. And I remember vividly a bear turning its ass to the crowd over the moat and just shitting into the moat and letting you watch the shit.
Yep.
Jason Miller-Adovich said you've got some weird fetishes.
I just said that.
Oh, I was
Quit playing on your phone.
I was looking at something on the Facebook page.
And I mean, there was some parent may have
taken a picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is where he gets it from, Jason.
What about the tortoises in Georgia?
We went to like a state park or something, and that was where we were walking here. And it was tortoises getting at it.
That's all right. I'm sure it's not any better than our 4-year-old at the National Zoo in DC, where the tortoises were getting at it, and the dad goes, "Oh, those turtles are just playing," and she whips her head around and looks at me, and she goes, "Number one, they're tortoises. Number two, they're mating. Can I please go correct them?" I was like, "You cannot. We're going to continue on our visit."
That was where we had to start telling her like to not correct everybody.
Yeah.
At the
she
zoos.
wanted to correct everyone that did anything wrong at the zoo.
I wonder where she gets that.
I don't know. That's
100% right here.
That's why I told her not to do it. I'd do it. Oh fuck, my back hurts.
No.
Oh, picture got shared by Travis and Megan also shared this one. It was of a water dragon eating an iguana.
Yeah, that was cool. It was scary.
Eating a baby iguana. It's a weird looking picture.
There was also one that was shared of like one type of snake eating another type of snake being eaten by a third type of snake.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one yet.
The best one is the one with the anaconda eating the alligator and it bursted open.
Oh, no.
Bursted open.
Burst it open.
Oh.
Oh yeah, it's the Burmese python with the
Or Burmese, yeah.
alligator. In it. That's gotten shared a million times. That always gets brought up too when anybody talks about these snake laws. You see these snake laws get brought up in other groups, like I'm in a Tennessee group and it's full of a bunch of stupid people. But they'll talk about how they need to outlaw this snake or that. And it's always, well, we don't want the Everglades to happen here. We don't live in the fucking Everglades. It's not going to happen here.
You ain't gonna have the Everglades in Tennessee
unless you basically live in a rainforest swamp. That's the Everglades. You're not gonna have. I mean, the shit's freezing down there when it gets cold. Calm the fuck down. Oh, Jason Miller, have you watched rhinos spray their shit? Yeah, they whip their hippos. Do the same thing.
Hippos do. They with the tail.
They'll fling their tail and shit goes everywhere. He asked a zookeeper in Denver if they've ever hit the crowd, and he told me about a time a lady blocked her face and her baby. That was then covered in rhino with her baby. she
My kind of parenting.
She sacrificed her baby
I like it.
so that she didn't get hit with rhinos.
So our black and white Bengal tiger mutts that we had at our zoo, they pee backwards. So it shoots backwards and they can aim. They can, and not only can they, tapirs
I was
can
gonna say
as well.
the tapirs would spray people on the train at the Alexandria Zoo. They are no longer by the train tracks. But when the train would go by, if they were out,
you could see them turn to do it on purpose.
Bob, check this shit out.
And the tigers, you'd see them too, because you'd see them turn, and like whoever, like someone's be loud screaming, and they'd hit a person in between two other people. Fucking hilarious. Well, that was like someone decided to get married there. They rented out that section. They were gonna get married right there in front of the tigers. I was like, they haven't seen the tigers before. I don't know if they ever got peed on, but that was not the place to do it.
I do remember that.
Oh, Travis posted some cool art. It was a pineapple with a snake kind of merged together as one. These look like old school like tattoos, and then one was a dragon fruit that was also dragon.
Adorable.
Adorbs.
Adorbs.
Oh my god.
And then Travis was busy. He posted. He's
posted a lot this.
I've seen this picture before. It's of the sulcata that had a hippo tusk.
I saw that one
in it, coming through the opening on the neck, up through the shell, and it lived for years like that. Like they found it dead later on after the shell had kind of grown around the tusk and it had become part of it. See what else is on here. Oh, the person hand feeding the egg to the black rat snake in the birdhouse.
Yeah,
that's a cool video.
It is cute.
And
something, if you are in the Houston area, you want to go ahead and mark your calendar, save your date, October 22nd. From 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., we are going to be helping with World Reptile Day. There will be educational talks, live reptiles, a scavenger hunt, food trucks, shopping, and more. We will share that event. I know Megan has already shared that event as well. I'm trying not to read the comments. I'm going to read it out loud in just a minute.
I think that monkey may have been mine.
But yes, so we will share that event. Okay, so Jason Miller said one of his most memorable zoo trips was in Houston, where a monkey was staring his wife down and then proceeded to rub one out while making eye contact with her, while keeping eye contact with her.
Oh,
your wife has a new boyfriend, apparently.
Monkeys need loving too.
Oh my stars.
Oh god.
That's
all right. So my back cannot take.
I was about to say we're about to be done. James is getting old. We think his sciatic nerve is acting up.
Glad I'm not getting old.
You're already there. So I don't have anything else to say here.
Tons of stuff going on. Sam, if people want to get a hold of you,
don't.
Simply Serpents.
Oh goodness.
If you want some good stories about James when he was a kid,
fuck off.
I'm sure he's probably got quite a few about me in the last 18 years.
Don't forget our giveaway this month. Go over to our Facebook group. Just comment on the post that is at the top of the Facebook page and tell us who your favorite guest is on our 124 episodes we've had, and then you are entered in for the free U.S. Art membership that we are giving away. Victor, I'm probably going.
I've been trying to get him to do that for 2 days, Victor.
Well, you were busy today, and I wouldn't want to go by myself. And
he doesn't want to go by himself.
Victor,
bottom line,
he ain't the smartest guy.
He's a sissy.
If you want to get a hold of us, it is the Reptile Gumbo podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and at gmail.com. Again, if you need a rack or a cage, reach out to lsreptileracks.com and get you a rack or a cage. We'll be back next week. I'm super excited with our guest for next week. I'm not telling anybody who it is. Victor knows who it is, but he's not telling anybody who it is either. but I'm super excited about our guests next week. They were at my very first Reptile Expo.
James is pretty pumped.
I remember them at my very first Reptile Expo, so it's gonna be cool. But we will be back next week. Thank y'all for listening. I guess thanks Sam for being on and telling folks stories about.
Well, he bought us dinner. You at least have.
He
to
did
be
buy
nice
us
to
dinner.
him.
It was all you could eat.
I didn't tell any of the good stories about
That
you.
is true.
I'll leave that. I'm here next week. Stick around, folks.
That is true.
Maybe he'll get a white curtain back here so I'm not
You can see him.
wrong way.
Yeah.
There you go. But we will be back next week. Please tune in. It'll be a good one. I promise. But good night.